There are 3 ships in the galaxy that are tied to the Federation and all look very similar. And all 3 have a single purpose, and you'd think that that purpose was to promote Federation freedom and democracy throughout populated space. The sort of freedom that involves these ships maybe coming across an isolated colony who have their own values of freedom and democracy, then using violent negotiation to inform the natives that they're wrong and their version of freedom and their version of democracy is just plain incorrect, and that they need to embrace the Federation's version instead. Or you might think that the purpose was to see which designer at Core Dynamics could design the ugliest ship going. Both of those purposes are perfectly valid in this case. This is the most expensive of those 3 ships. This is the Federal Gunship. It's also the one that you can attach the largest number of guns to, and you'd think that that was a given that this is the Federal Gunship, but then again, this is from the same line of ships that has a ship called the Dropship that's not actually used as a dropship. In terms of looks, the gunship looks pretty similar to its sister ships, the Federal Dropship and the Federal Assault Ship, but whereas the Dropship looks like a ugly, fairly bland brick of armour, and the Federal Assault Ship looks like a slightly more aerodynamic ugly brick of armour, the gunship is more of a heavily armoured ugly brick of armour. It's still got the huge forehead that the other 2 ships have, and it's also got pretty much the same view looking out and the same coffee machines inside. But the gunship looks more imposing, mostly because it's got additional panels welded to the outer hull to beef things up a bit more. It is still a brick, but don't get me wrong, this is a specialised brick. There's a few paint jobs available if you want your gunship to stand out. You certainly don't have the widest selection available, but there is enough to find something that's halfway decent, if nothing else. Slapping a coat of paint on it changes it from a fairly bland brick to a colourful brick. And although, like wrapping a turd in glitter, you're not going to make it beautiful with a slap of paint, you can at least improve it. Not only does the gunship give you the ability to add more guns than either of its sister ships, it also has the highest base armour strength, despite having the same mass as the dropship, as well as the best base shields. Finally, you can equip a better power distributor to keep those guns powered, and better sensors than either the dropship or the assault ship. All of these improvements give the gunship an edge, despite its shortcomings, at least compared to its sister ships. These shortcomings basically amount to being slower and less agile, but it is worth mentioning that the yaw control is surprisingly flexible despite its pitch and roll stats. Jump range also suffers a little, but not by a whole lot. So, how does it perform? Well, as always, it depends what you're planning on using it for. For exploration, it doesn't have the legs to do a long distance over a single jump, which is fine if you want to explore every system you possibly can, but if you're thinking about taking the gunship from the bubble to Colonia with some exploration on the way, there are better options out there. As for trading, the range lets it down again. It does though have enough hard points to make a halfway decent mining ship, but then I'd have to ask why you'd want to. It would be like taking a tank to the supermarket in order to pick up some milk. So that doesn't leave a lot, but for its intended purpose it more than makes up for it. The ship has 7 hard points, which is the same number as the larger Imperial Cutter or Federal Corvette, but on a considerably smaller frame. Yes, those 2 ships pack much bigger guns, but that's not the point I'm making. The gunship has the quantity, if not the same stopping power, and like the aforementioned large ships, if you get bored of the pace and you want to get a touch of the zoomies, you can jump in a fighter and stretch your legs. That's right, you can get a fighter bay in this ship, which is something that you can't do with the dropship or assault ship, somehow given that they're about the same size. So you could argue that with 2 fighters on board and manned, those 7 hard points have become 11 hard points, and once you're done bringing 7 to 11 barrels down on your opponent and you've removed them from the mortal realm, you've got a higher potential cargo capacity than the dropship and the assault ship, meaning that you can liberate any components and goods remaining to increase your profits. It's also got something in combat that I never found with the dropship. It's got the fun factor. If you've woken up on the wrong side of bed that morning and you absolutely need to make a statement to the galaxy about how hacked off you are at it, this is the ship you want. one enemy at a time. This isn't like the Eagle or Viper where you sit in a blind spot whittling away at your opponent. This is the ship you use head on, with one hand off the controls, raising a single middle finger at the canopy as you approach your target head on. This is the ship you use to say screw you and everything you stand for, and screw your hamster too. Is it perfect? Hell no. I found the power plant to be a little under-spec'd and needing an overcharge to get the best out of the ship. An Alliance chieftain can run rings around you, and well-piloted vultures are a huge pain in the ass. But I honestly just don't care. Because when the sights are lined up on target, there is something addictive about just seeing how much damage you can do in a short amount of time with this ship. Should you buy it? When I reviewed the dropship, I came away with a sour taste in my mouth. I concluded that among other things it was held back by its dire FSD, the engines that couldn't keep up, and this is the thing. I love this ship. It's ugly, it's slow, it won't jump far. In fact, it shares 3 of the big flaws I found with the dropship, and even more so as it's uglier, slower, and jumps even shorter distances. But with all that aside, this ship is somehow more capable and fun than the dropship could ever be, at least to me. This is a ship that I look forward to getting into. I look forward to taking the ship into a fight and showing my opponent just how crappy my day has been, and how I'm about to make their day a whole lot worse and a whole lot shorter. Yes, it's hidden behind a grind for the Federation, but for me, it's at least worth 100% of that grind. If for nothing else, for the catharsis that this ship can bring to the table as you send lasers and projectiles into your foe. Besides, if you don't like the Federation, you can always do the grind and then turn their weapons against them. All 11 of them if you include the fighters. Nothing says screw you more than turning a faction's own designs against them, and very little says screw you more than the Federal Gunship. Hope you enjoyed this one. Various links and all that are in the description. Let me know what you think about this ship in the comments, and as always, likes, shares, subs are all very much appreciated. Have a cracking week, and I will catch you when the next video is released. Much love, and 07.